What's going on, guys? In this Diablo 4 video, I'm bringing you my rogue build that I was able to clear pit 110 because a lot of you pansy asses out there were complaining about my paladin damage video, but we are clearing 110. I could probably push this even further, but I was having a lot of fun with this build. We're utilizing non-physical damage, cold imbuements, penetrating shot, and using shadow clones and all kinds of stuff to give us some more survivability. So if you guys would like to use the bow and clear out high torment difficulties with the rogue, then this build's for you. If you guys want more Diablo 4 videos, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And also, guys, make sure to check out the links below if you want the Mobalytics link to this build. Check out our Discord, or if you want to save some money on your next G Fuel order, all of those are down below. So without further ado, let's get right into the build. Alright, so first things first, we're going to go over the gear for the build. Of course, we're using the Air Perdition helmet, gives us more crit strike chance, movement speed, core skills, and we're going to use Sear Thul for the rune word combo, which gives us the Frost Nova skill from the sorcerer, because we're going to be utilizing cold damage with this build. Moving on to our chest piece of the good old Tyrael's Might, I was able to get 3 greater affixes with this build. Of course, resistances, resistant to all elements, maximum life, damage reduction, and we're going to put some emeralds in here for more dexterity. Moving on to the gauntlets, we have the imitated imbuement aspect, which your shadow clones and shades also mimic the imbuements applied to your skills. Casting an imbuement skill increases your non-physical damage by up to 60%, increased damage for 9 seconds. And of course, you want to put as much damage aspects or damage affixes on your gauntlets as well. Moving on to our unique pants, we have Shrouded Gift, which whenever we gain stealth, you also gain concealment, which is a skill that we'll use. We gain up to 30% increased damage reduction while stealthed and for 8 seconds after breaking it. And we're going to be using Tam Gar for the rune word combo to give us more critical strike chance, as we do not have a channeled core skill for this build. We're going to be spamming penetrating shot, which is not channeled. Moving on to our boots, we have the Mending Obscurity aspect, which when entering stealth and every second while stealth, we heal for 12.8% of your maximum life. Breaking stealth fortifies you to up to 10% of your maximum life. This is going to give us a little bit more survivability when we pop our smoke grenade skill, which we'll go over in a little bit. Moving on to our bow, we are using the unique Eagle Horn, which you can farm from the boss Varshan. You will want to have this because penetrating shot bounces off walls and deals 150% more damage. Of course, you want to go with try to get all damage multiplier, critical strike damage, dexterity, maximum life, and of course we're going to be putting sapphires into our weapons to give us a cold damage multiplier, as we are going to be constantly casting cold imbuement. Moving on to our 2 little weapons here, I'm using daggers just to give us a bit more attack speed, even though we're not using the daggers, but I just feel like we get more attack speed. Now, this one we're using Frozen Memories, which cold damage deals up to 45% increased damage to chilled enemies, and this bonus is tripled against frozen enemies. Again, we're using like a sapphire to give us more cold damage multiplier. Moving on to our other one, I'm using the sword here, which again, we want to try and roll for crit damage, cold damage, but the aspect here, shade skills deal up to 60% increased damage and gain a 50% chance to spawn an additional shade, which our penetrating shot actually is going to become a shade skill. So as you can see here, it's a core, marksman, imbuable, and shade. Because the modifier that we have on it will also summon 2 additional shades. So this is what's going to help with that. Moving on to our unique ring. This is the Scoundrel's Kiss. You can farm this from the Butcher, but gain 1 ferocity every 2 seconds as long as no enemies are close to you. And your marksman skills deal 12% up to 15% increased damage per stack of ferocity. Now, moving on to the other ring, of course, just like most builds, the triple mythic combo, we are using the Ring of Starless Skies for that critical strike chance, which we want to try and using the fortify there. And then we're tempering for critical strike damage. And of course, The resistances that I like putting on the amulets and the rings is fire, poison, and lightning, because those are the 3 main damage types that we take while you're playing Diablo for endgame content. And then for our amulet, we are going with the Ferocious amulet, which gives us your maximum ferocity stacks are increased by up to 9. So that way, the more ferocity stacks we deal, the more damage we deal as well. And now I was able to put a additional legendary aspect with the Coolian Prism, which cold damage is increased by up to 30%, and it makes enemies vulnerable for 4 seconds. If you guys don't know how to do this, all you got to do is put your amulet into here, and you can use Transfigure, which is like the end-all be-all before you use your items. You want to use the Coolian Prism, and what this will do is gives you a random legendary modifier, and it will guarantee it to not brick the item. Alright, now moving on to our specializations, we'll be using combo points, which are basic skills now generate combo points, and core skills consume combo points for additional effects. Now moving on to our abilities. Now for our basic, we are using Forceful Arrow with energy, which will gain more energy, ferocity, which gives us more ferocity stacks, and then pin, which will immobilize enemies. So this is just a more crowd control thing that I like to do because we do more damage to crowd control enemies. And then for our core skill, we're using Penetrating Shot with damage increase, then ferocity, and then the last one we're going to be using a Shadow Shot, which gives us the 2 additional shades. For the agility skill, I like using dash for this one, and then we're going to be using critical strike chance, which gives us more crit chance after our dash. And then moving on down, we have the resolve, which gives us more resolve stacking, which has been fixed in the latest patch, by the way. And then we are using primer for the 3rd subcategory here, which puts us into stealth after we use it. Now, here's where it gets a little confusing. We are using most of the subterfuge skills. Now, for Smoke Grenade, this is what we're going to put on our action bar. Smoke Grenade allows us to gain stealth, but we also gain concealment, and that is because of Shrouded Gift. Because so remember here, so when we gain stealth, we also gain concealment, which is our skill. So when we pop Smoke Grenade, we also gain concealment as well. And then I'm using Silhouette here, which gives us the stealth and a more critical strike chance when using Smoke Grenade. And then I like using the charge or energy cost reduction for using smoke grenades because you have 2 additional charges. And then put just 1 point in the concealment so we can use calculation, which grants us 4 stacks of overpower after breaking concealment. Also, we gain 10% increased strike chance. So again, more damage, more critical damage. And then we are using Dark Shroud, which again, we're not using on our action bar. But again, I'll explain in a little bit why we are using this, because this has something to do with our set bonus, which I'll explain. We'll have Shadow Dancer, critical chance, and then healing, which gives us more survivability. Now, to go over a little bit of the set bonus, when you cast a marksman basic skill, you gain a stack of vengeance. So with that, while you have vengeance, you gain one additional shadow thing. So that's why we're using that. Moving on to cold imbuement, this is going to be our main damage dealer. We're going to be using cooldown. This one is very, very important because you want to try to apply chill to a bunch of enemies, which you're going to easily do with our setup here. Moving down, we're using Frozen Heart. And then for our ultimate skill, we are using Shadow Clone, which gives us even more instances of damage. We're using Unstoppable, Relentless, and then Cooldown, so that way we can pop it more often. Moving on to our set bonus to explain it even further. So when you cast a marksman basic skill, you gain a stack of Vengeance, which is our Forceful Arrow here. With this, we gain 3% increased movement speed and 12% increased damage for our marksman skills, and Vengeance stacks up to 5 times. Our 3 set, while we have Vengeance, we gain Dark Shroud, which is the skill that we were putting points into, but it's not in our action bar. For every 2 seconds, we gain 30% damage reduction when we have at least 1 shadow, and we can knock back enemies. Our 5 set, while we have Vengeance, our marksman skills deal 200% extra damage, and we trigger our last marksman basic skill you used 3 times whenever you cast a marksman skill at a targeted enemy, which kind of helps us with generating energy uptime with our 5 set here. Now, anything for the different talismans, you want to go for marksman skill. So as you can see, I have +3 on almost all of my different charms, and then I have a +2 on this one. For our seal, again, go with anything with 1 slot. This one I was able to get critical strike chance and additional charm slot. So with the additional charm slot, we can use our unique charm, which is called condemnation, or however you say that. Your core skills deal up to 60% increased damage for 5 seconds when consuming a 3 combo points. Casting basic skills always generates 3 combo points, which is again why we're using combo for our specialization. Moving on to our Paragon board, we are using Assassin for our first socketed glyph, so we can gain more damage to elites. And again, points as follows. You want to try and get those bonuses to upgrade your rare nodes. Moving on to our second board, we have Cheap Shot for our legendary node, which we gain more damage against crowd-controlled enemies, which freezing enemies counts as a crowd control. And then we are using the Control Socketed Glyph, which again gives us more damage towards crowd control enemies, and also frozen or chilled enemies as well. Of course, with high-end Torment builds, you always want to try and upgrade all your glyphs and hit those legendary nodes. For our third board, we're using Eldritch Bounty, which we gain resistances to all elements, but we also gain 60% increased cold damage. Moving on to our glyph, we are using Devious, which gives us more imbued damage, non-physical damage, and of course damage to crowd-controlled targets, which cold damage from our cold imbuement counts as a non-physical damage type. So just to kind of clear that for everybody. So yes, we're using a physical skill, but the cold imbuement counts as cold damage, so it's not technically physical damage anymore. It's a non-physical damage type. Moving on to our fourth board, we have Exploit Weakness, and then for our glyph, we are using Canny, which again gives us more non-physical damage, and then again points as follows for the Paragon board, so that way you can get more additional bonuses. And then for our final one, we are using Cunning Stratagem, which our combo point bonuses are increased by 60%. And then we are using Fluidity for the Socketed Glyph, which this right here, I would say try to get this one and the Imbuement one up to as high as possible, because this one gives you a huge damage boost to all magic nodes within this range. And by upgrading this, you gain a lot of additional damage. For our Mercenary, I'm using Rahir, of course using Ground Slam, Rahir's Aegis with the Bastion, and then Inspiration. Just again, more additional damage that you can do from the help of Rahir. And that's going to be it for this rogue build, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to drop a like, consider subscribing to the channel. And again, if you want to see more Diablo 4 builds with other characters, feel free to leave a comment down below on which character you want to see next. And again, also feel free to check out the links below to join our Discord and save some money on your next G Fuel order. And again, if you have any other tips, tricks, or anything that could help out with this build, make sure to drop them down in the comments. And again, we are working on an updated Paladin, so stay tuned for that one, and we will catch y'all in the next video. Deuces.